Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's going on? So, y'all saw my immediate post-fight reaction, in the moment, and giving y'all my true and genuine assessment of what I had just seen during the JERMELL CHARLO and Brian Castano Undisputed matchup. But now I kind of want to just give y'all more of a thorough review after rewatching the fight again, and just kind of break this shit down and, talk about what I saw and then what I expect going forward from both guys. First and foremost, I do agree with the draw. I had JERMELL CHARLO, I had Castano taking the first round. I had JERMELL winning the second and the third, even though he got hit at the end of the round. He got hit with a good shot on the ropes, which I had no idea why he kept voluntarily backing back to the ropes. We'll talk about that. But he got hit with a decent shot mid-swing. He was swinging and Castano timed him, and they swung at the same time, and Castano landed, and he kind of knocked JERMELL off balance, and JERMELL kind of went back to the ropes. I didn't see JERMELL CHARLO hurt at all. I didn't see his legs wobbly. I didn't see him looking punch drunk in the ring because it was immediately like 10 seconds after that the bell rung, and JERMELL CHARLO was smiling at him, shaking his head like, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can tell when a guy get hurt and he starts shaking his head like it's nothing. And then you can tell when a guy like get hit with a good shot and he ate it and it really didn't do no damage to him. You dig what I'm saying? JERMELL CHARLO won that round. Coach Derrick James said in the post-fight press conference, Brian Castano was doing a good job of coasting throughout like the first 2.5 minutes of the fight, 2 minutes to 2.5 minutes of the round, and then at the end of each round, he'll start throwing like shoe shine flurries and stuff like that. And that was a good strategy to kind of show that, hey, I'm working, especially after the second round when he got hurt. JERMELL CHARLO visibly, now that's a guy that's hurt. He was retreating and trying to survive, wobbling, stumbling all over the place. He was visibly hurt multiple times in the fight, Brian Castano. But when he hit JERMELL CHARLO, in my opinion, the second round was a clear round for JERMELL CHARLO. I thought he was going to finish him. And then the third round, I had JERMELL CHARLO. He went out there. He wasn't aggressive as he should have been because he just hurt him. He should have been more aggressive going into the second round, but he came out, with a semi-chess match, very patient approach with the jab. And then I felt like he landed some decent jabs, 1-2 to jab straight right. And he did the better work in the third round. I mean, going in the third round after hurting Castano in the second round. And then at the end of the third round, Castano had a couple of flurries. That's when he landed the shot on the ropes, which again, I never saw JERMELL CHARLO hurt. And then in the fourth round, I had Castano winning the fourth. I had JERMELL coming back and winning the fifth. And then Castano went on a string of rounds, winning the sixth. Now, all of these were very, very close rounds. Very, very close rounds. But this is how I scored it. I had Castano coming back winning the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, and the ninth. So right now he got the first. He has the fourth. And then I had him winning the sixth, the seventh, the eighth, and the ninth, which were all very, very close rounds. Now, to be honest with you, the ninth round was kind of like a swing round for me. You could have gave that to JERMELL CHARLO. And the 10th round was similar. It was like a swing round as well. You could have gave that to Castano or JERMELL CHARLO. I had CHARLO winning the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th, the championship rounds. He hurt him again in the 10th. Was that the 10th or the 11th? I can't remember. He hurt him, I believe it was the 10th round. He hurt him in the 10th round, and I thought he was going to get him out of there again. I'm like, damn, step on the gas. We going to talk about all that. but I'm just scoring the fight right now. So ultimately, again, I gave Brian Castano the first, the fourth, and then 6 through 9. And then I had Jermell winning the second, the third, the fifth, and then the last 3, the 10th, 11th, and 12th. I had the fight scored 6 down the middle, a draw. But to be honest with you, the fight was so close, it wouldn't have been extremely surprising if they gave it to Castano or if they gave it to Jermell, because Castano did a lot of work at the end of rounds, fighting in spurts. He'll take most of the round off and then he'll start fighting in spurts. And the reason he did that, because Castano normally is very aggressive throughout, the whole rounds. But after he got hurt in the second round, you saw that he stepped off the gas. He wasn't fighting the same way that he was in the first round. In the first round, he came out, on the gas. But after he got hurt in the second round, he wasn't fighting that same way. You know what I'm saying? And that was due to JERMELL CHARLO. He felt that power. And, but again, if they would have gave it to Castano, I would have been like, all right, damn, I think it's a draw, but I'm not too mad at that because he did a lot of work at the end of rounds and he was the one that was coming forward. Depending on how you judge, a lot of judges like the guy that's actually pushing the fight forward and controlling the pace of the fight. And then also, if you would have gave it to Jermell, I could see that too, because JERMELL CHARLO was blocking a lot of those punches. He was rolling even when he was on the ropes, which again, he had no business being on the ropes because he went back voluntarily. It wasn't like Castano made him go back. All you had to do was use your fucking jab and use your strength and keep the fight in the middle of the ring. And Castano never really threw no counters off of the back foot. Everything that he did was coming forward. Everything that he did, he only had success in working when Jermell backed up. When Jermell came forward, Castano had his hands in his pocket. You know what I'm saying? So, but I can see how you would have gave it to Jermell because Jermell landed the cleaner, harder shots, the most effective shots. Again, I never saw JERMELL CHARLO visibly hurt. I saw Brian Castano hurt multiple times in the fight. At least 3 times he was wobbly legged and surviving. I never seen JERMELL CHARLO trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? So now that we got the score out of there, again, I do agree with the draw. It was a very close fight, extremely competitive like I thought it was going to be. I did pick JERMELL CHARLO to win via TKO from the 8th, between the 8th and the 10th round. Of course, it didn't go that way, but again, I told y'all this was going to be an extremely competitive fight, and this is why the 154-pound division is my favorite division in boxing, because these guys are true competitors. They want to fight the best, and they get in there and they fight. Brian Castano, he didn't waste no time after beating Teixeira. He said, look, I want JERMELL CHARLO next. And JERMELL CHARLO said, I want Undisputed. Let's make that shit happen right now. And they did, and I commend them for that. You know what I'm saying? So when you have 2 champions, Brian Castano being an undefeated champion, JERMELL CHARLO could very well be undefeated with that controversial loss to Tony Harrison. You got 2 guys that are both champions, the 2 best fighters at this time in their division, and this is an undisputed fight. This is what Undisputed is supposed to look like. It's supposed to be a close fight. For anybody that's saying it's a robbery, you need to go get your motherfucking eyes checked. You know what I'm saying? You about as drunk as that judge that scored at 117, 111 for JERMELL CHARLO. You about as drunk as that motherfucker. You need to go get your eyes checked. This was a very, very close fight, extremely competitive fight, and this is undisputed. It's the highest honor in boxing. This is what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, I would have loved to see a champion crowned at the end of the night for Undisputed, but this is how an undisputed fight is supposed to fucking look when you got the best fighting the best. You can't say the same for a lot of these other divisions. You know what I'm saying? So now that we got that out the way, we got the score. How I scored the fight. I want to talk about both guys. Brian Castano, he went out there and he fought with a really good game plan. I do feel like Jermell made him alter his game a little bit after that second round. He wasn't as aggressive as he normally is, at least not for the full rounds. He only did it in spurts. And I want to commend Brian Castano also because I felt like he took more chances than JERMELL CHARLO. And he knew that he was going to have to take those chances to at least win the fight or not lose the fight, which is he accomplished that. He accomplished not losing the fight. You know what I'm saying? But shout out to Brian Castano. He had a really good game plan. And I think for the situation that he was in, that was his best effort. And it was still a close fight. I don't think we saw JERMELL CHARLO's best effort. Number one, which is the most alarming and surprising and disappointing thing to me, was that JERMELL CHARLO did not listen to Coach Derrick James. You have, in my opinion, the best coach in the entire sport of boxing, and you didn't listen to any of his instructions. You didn't listen to any of his instructions. Coach James was properly just dissecting everything that he was saying and just laying out a beautiful blueprint round by round for JERMELL CHARLO to, when he first came out, he was boxing very, very patient. In my opinion, he looked a little passive. He looked very passive. Just looking like he was thinking too much, waiting on the perfect shot. I think JERMELL CHARLO fell in love with the power, thinking like, oh, I can just sit back and not do shit and then just wait to throw one good shot and try to hurt him. Bruh, every time you go into a fight looking for a knockout, 9 times out of 10, you never get the fucking knockout. You know what I'm saying? But Derrick James, it was like around the 3rd or the 4th round, between the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round, Derrick James said, all right, now look, don't bag back no more. Now it's time to go walk him down. Go forward. Behind the jab. Use your jab and walk him down. You got the reach advantage. You got a good jab when you actually use it. In this fight, JERMELL CHARLO jab, it was weak as fuck. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? His jab was weak as fuck. You know what I'm saying? He was not really putting that bitch in there like that. He was just throwing it out there all soft and shit. I'm like, man, what is you doing? Go forward with the jab. It seemed like he was just using the jab to keep Castano at bay, as opposed to using it to put pressure on him and impose his style and start to walk Castano down. Coach James literally told him specifically, all right, now it's time to walk him down. This is way before, this was when the fight was still, I had it like 2 rounds to 2. It was like very, very extremely close. And Coach James said, look, walk him down now. Go forward. Don't take no steps back. What JERMELL CHARLO do? He go in there for the first few seconds, start using the jab like he coming forward, and then out of nowhere, he just voluntarily bag back to the ropes and just let a motherfucker come in there and start working. Like, I don't know if and this is another thing that was extremely surprising to me. I don't know if JERMELL CHARLO, if the moment was too big for Charlo, because again, I felt like that Brian Castano fought the best he could fight for that night, for what he was facing in that night. That's the best Brian Castano could have did. This ain't the best JERMELL CHARLO could have did, man. It seemed like he was overthinking, like the moment was too big for him. Like, bruh, he could have, every time he did decide to go forward, he was pushing Castano back, and he could have let off any combination he wanted. It ain't like Castano was going to be boxing off with a back foot, counterpunching and shit. No, Castano only worked when he came forward. When he was going backwards, he wasn't doing no work. No work. So why the fuck would JERMELL CHARLO not do what Derrick James told him to do, which was go forward behind the jab and walk this man down? You could have easily won rounds off the jab coming forward alone. Earl Spence do it all the fucking time. I don't understand. Walk behind the jab and throw shit behind it, especially when you got a guy who don't want to go backwards. JERMELL CHARLO seemed very passive in this fight. It seemed like, I will admit this, I think that Brian Castano wanted it more. He fought like he wanted it more. And the fact that this was such a close fight when you got one guy that's giving his very best effort and you got another guy who looks extremely unfamiliar in the ring and it's still a close fight, that's what's so disappointing to me. It's like, bruh, I scored the fight a draw and you didn't even give half the effort that you could have gave. This guy, Brian Castano, fought, he gave his best effort. I felt like he wanted it more. I felt that Brian Castano wanted it fucking more. JERMELL CHARLO didn't want it bad enough. This shit was history in the making, bruh. It's like, bruh, you got an opportunity to fight for the highest honor in boxing. You could have been the first super welterweight undisputed champion in the 4-belt era ever in history, bruh. You know what I'm saying? And it seemed like he was aloof. It seemed like he was just in his own fucking world. He wasn't even, like, Coach James giving him the gems, giving him all the gameplay. I'm like, as I'm listening to Coach James talk, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. I'm thinking the same shit. Mel just looking there like lost. Y'all know that last picture of Tupac? That last picture of Tupac that you seen with Tupac and Suge Knight in the car. You know what I'm saying? Where Pac just looked like he was just in his own world. You know what I'm saying? Like he wasn't even present in the moment. That's what I saw. That's the look that I saw on JERMELL CHARLO's face multiple times in the corner, round by round. I'm like, bro, do you understand the moment that you in right now? Man, you better go out there and transform into that dog that I know you is, bro. I did not understand that shit for the life of me. I didn't understand it for the life of me, man. And the fact that this fight was so close and you didn't leave it all in the ring, that was extremely disappointing. Extremely disappointing to me. Extremely disappointing to me. And I have JERMELL CHARLO in my pound for pound, but I'm going to have to say he going to have to drop some spots. He going to have to drop some spots because a top pound for pound fighter in a moment like that, they don't perform like that. I don't care if you feel like you didn't have a good count, and I'm not going to accept no excuses. I don't care if you feel like you didn't have a good count or if you had some shit going on outside the ring. I don't give a damn what it was because I ain't accepting not one excuse. A number 2, and I had JERMELL CHARLO ranked number 2 on my pound for pound list. A number 2 pound for pound guy, they don't perform like that. They don't give you half-ass energy that JERMELL CHARLO gave. You know what I'm saying? I got half-ass energy vibes from JERMELL CHARLO. And this is coming from one of the biggest JERMELL CHARLO fans out there. But I'm giving it to you raw and honestly. You dig what I'm saying? I got Errol Spence ranked number 1 on my pound for pound list. You watch how he performed on August 21st. If the fight is even anywhere close to what that fight was, you watch how Errol Spence die in the ring. You watch how Errol Spence leave his motherfucking heart in that ring if he got to. You seen how he performed versus Sean Porter. That fight was extremely close. That motherfucker went out there, he left his heart in the ring. That's how a top pound for pound fighter perform when you got an opportunity to be undisputed. When you get, this is a once in a lifetime type of situation. Yes, I want the rematch next, but who the fuck knows what's gonna happen with the business of boxing being what it is. I want to see an immediate rematch. ASAP. Before the end of the year, within the next 3 months, they need to have a date ASAP for the rematch. We talking about undisputed, man. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you let it slip from your grasp. That was probably the worst performance that I ever seen by JERMELL CHARLO. And to think about it, in the biggest moment of his career, you give me your worst performance, and it's still a draw. That's the worst. That's the part that hurt the most. That's the part that hurt the most because you was this close. If you would have gave just this much more effort, you would have won the fight. Just this much more effort. You had the man hurt multiple times, and you stepped off the gas. Second round, you acting like I got the whole fight. Man, go get this motherfucker, man. I didn't like what I seen. But you know what? in a rematch. Go back and look at the film. He's shown that he's been successful in rematches. I would like to see it again. And I think JERMELL CHARLO can make adjustments and he can go back and be even better. It's just a matter of effort and energy for JERMELL CHARLO in this matchup. It ain't a matter of talent. It ain't a matter of skill. It ain't a matter of ability. It's effort. It's effort, man. Brian Castano gave effort. JERMELL CHARLO, he didn't give no effort, man. That was the difference in this fight. It's lack of effort, bro. And you didn't listen to your fucking coach. If I'm Derrick James, that shit would have ran me hot. Like, motherfucker, I done put all my time and energy into you. Yeah, you paying me, but fuck all that. I want this undisputed shit just as bad as you want it. And you ain't gonna listen to my instructions? Come on now. I don't like that. I don't like that, man. Look, that's how I saw the fight. This is my honest and genuine assessment of what I saw. Great fight. Very entertaining. Lackluster ending or result. You know what I'm saying? But y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender regime boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.